A 71-year-old woman said 4 words to me at the boarding door last spring and locked off in a business class seat she paid nothing for. No complaints, no status, just the right words at the right moment. I'm Maria, a flight attendant of 22 years, and I'm going to tell you exactly what she said and the complete system behind it. Drop a comment with your age and where you're flying next, and hit subscribe, because every week I share the insider knowledge airlines hope you never find out. Secret number 1: the door greeting that opens every upgrade conversation. Most passengers walk onto a plane, glance at a flight attendant standing at the boarding door, and say nothing. Or they mumble a distracted hello while staring at their boarding pass. And that interaction is over in under 2 seconds. No connection made, no impression left. What most senior travelers do not realize is that the boarding door is the single highest value moment of your entire flight. Not just for comfort, but for every benefit the crew has discretion to offer. And it lasts less than 4 seconds. The flight attendant standing at that door is not just scanning boarding passes. They are reading passengers. They are making rapid assessments about who is kind, who is difficult, who is calm, and who they would genuinely enjoy doing something nice for during the next 4 hours. I watched this play out personally with a passenger named Dorothy, age 71, a retired school teacher from Ohio. Dorothy boarded a flight from Atlanta to Los Angeles last fall. She stepped through the boarding door, made eye contact, smiled, and said, "I just want you to know, I always appreciate how hard you work on these flights. Thank you for being here." That was it. No request, no agenda, just genuine warmth delivered in one sentence. The lead flight attendant, my colleague, felt it immediately. It was authentic. It was specific. It stood out from the 200 other passengers who had said nothing or barely glanced up. 12 minutes after takeoff, Dorothy was moved to the only empty business class seat on that aircraft. No miles, no status, no fee. One sincere sentence at the right moment had done everything. The key principle is this: flight attendants remember the passengers who treated them like human beings. We do not remember faces easily. We remember feelings. If you make a crew member feel genuinely seen and appreciated at the boarding door, you have already separated yourself from 95% of the passengers on that aircraft. The exact phrase that works is not a rigid script. It is a genuine acknowledgement delivered with eye contact and a calm smile. Something as simple as, "I really appreciate what you all do. Thank you for being here today." Or, "I always feel safer when I can tell the crew actually enjoys their work." These are not manipulations. They are true things that most passengers never say out loud, and they land with extraordinary power at the boarding door. For your preparation, make eye contact at the boarding door every single time. Smile before you speak. Say something specific and genuine, not flattering, genuine, and never mention an upgrade at this stage. The door greeting is the seed. The upgrade comes later, and entirely on its own. Hashtag secret number 2, the exact phrase that triggers crew discretion mid-flight. Once you are seated and the flight has leveled off, there is a second window, and most senior travelers never know it exists. It opens approximately 20 to 30 minutes after the seatbelt sign goes off. This is when the crew conducts their first full cabin assessment. They are looking at who is comfortable, who is struggling, and what premium seats remain unoccupied. A 68-year-old passenger named Robert, a retired physician from Portland, understood this instinctively on a flight I was working 2 years ago. He had a middle seat in economy on a 5-hour flight. He was not complaining. He was not fidgeting dramatically. But when I passed his row during that first service, he looked up calmly and said, "Excuse me, I don't want to be any trouble at all, but if by any chance a seat opens up toward the front, I'd be so grateful. I have some circulation issues with long flights. No pressure whatsoever." That phrase, "I don't want to be any trouble," is the most powerful 5 words a passenger can say to a flight attendant mid-flight. Here is why. It signals that you are not demanding. It signals that you understand our workload. It signals that you are asking from a place of genuine need, not entitlement. And it gives us complete freedom to say yes or no without pressure. That freedom is exactly what makes us want to say yes. Robert was moved to a premium economy seat within 15 minutes. There had been 3 open seats at the front of that aircraft. I had walked past them a dozen times during boarding. Robert was the only passenger on that flight who had given me a reason and an easy, graceful way to fill one of them with someone deserving. What most senior travelers do not realize is that flight attendants cannot proactively offer upgrades to random passengers without a reason. There are liability, policy, and equity considerations that make unsolicited upgrades complicated. But when a passenger makes a quiet, humble, specific request, especially one tied to a health or comfort need, crew members have genuine discretion to act. And most of us want to use it kindly. The complete phrase to remember: I don't want to be any trouble at all, but if anything opens up toward the front of the cabin, I'd really appreciate it. I have some back stiffness, circulation concerns, or recent procedure. Totally understand if not. Deliver it quietly, directly to the flight attendant at their first service pass. Never at boarding, never loudly, and never more than once. For your preparation, know your genuine physical reason before you board. Circulation concerns, back issues, and recent medical procedures are the most understood and respected by crew. This is not manipulation. Most travelers over 60 have a real and honest reason. Naming it quietly and humbly gives the crew the context they need to act in your favor. Secret number 3, the gate agent conversation that happens before you ever board. The most overlooked upgrade opportunity of all takes place before the jetway ever opens. Most senior travelers walk to their gate, sit down, and wait. They watch gate agents work. They hear announcements, and they never once consider that the person behind that counter has access to the entire seating map of the aircraft, including every empty premium seat, and has been authorized to reassign them. A 73-year-old woman named Frances, a retired librarian from North Carolina, changed her entire travel experience the day she learned this. Frances had a long-haul flight from Charlotte to Seattle. She arrived at her gate 55 minutes before departure, early enough to matter, which is the first key. She walked calmly to the gate counter during a quiet moment, waited until the agent was not assisting anyone, and said, "Hi, I know you're busy and I don't want to take your time. I just wanted to ask if there's any chance of a seat change. I'm 73 and I have some trouble with my knees on longer flights. I'd be so grateful for anything with a bit more room if it's available." The gate agent upgraded Frances to the second row of first class. Here is what the airline will never tell you about that interaction. Gate agents on most domestic and international flights have unsold or operationally held premium seats that simply have to be filled before the door closes. They are not always permitted to announce this publicly. But when a passenger asks directly, politely, and with a legitimate comfort need, many agents are authorized and personally motivated to fill those seats with the nicest people they encountered that morning. Frances was one of 3 upgrades that agent processed in the final 40 minutes before that flight. What most senior travelers do not realize is that the window for this conversation is very specific. Too early, more than 70 minutes before departure, and the agent cannot accurately confirm open seats. Too late, under 25 minutes, and they are too deep into boarding procedures to help you. The window is 55 to 30 minutes before departure. That is your gate upgrade window. Arrive inside it, identify a calm moment at the counter, and make your ask with the exact warmth and brevity Frances used. The key phrase structure is, "I know you're busy. I just wanted to ask quietly if anything with more legroom is available. I'm age, and I have specific physical need. I'd be so grateful. No pressure at all." The words "no pressure at all" are not filler. They signal to the agent that you will not escalate argue, or cause a scene if the answer is no. That signal alone dramatically increases the chance of yes. For your complete gate preparation, arrive 55 to 60 minutes before departure. Observe the counter for a natural pause in activity. Approach with your boarding pass already in hand. Speak quietly enough that other passengers cannot hear you. This is a private, gracious conversation, not a public negotiation. Secret number 4. The follow-up line that doubles your chances after a no. Most senior travelers hear the word no at a gate counter and accept it as final. They return to their seat, feel mildly disappointed, and bored in their original assignment. What they do not know is that a single follow-up, delivered correctly, reverses a no into a yes, more often than the airline would ever want published. I watched a 66-year-old man named Arthur, a retired architect from Denver, execute this perfectly on a flight I was working out of Chicago. He had approached the gate agent and been told politely that no upgrades were available. He smiled, thanked the agent, and said, "Of course, I completely understand. Would it be okay if I checked back in about 20 minutes, just in case something changes before boarding?" The agent said yes. Arthur returned 22 minutes later. 2 business class seats had been released by no-show passengers. Arthur was in one of them when the boarding door closed. Here is what that follow-up accomplished. It kept Arthur in the agent's awareness without creating any pressure or inconvenience. It positioned him as first in line for any late-breaking availability. And it demonstrated, for the second time, that he was a calm, patient, low-maintenance passenger. That perception matters enormously. Gate agents deal with entitlement and pressure constantly. A passenger who asks graciously, accepts a no without reaction, and checks back politely becomes someone they genuinely want to help. What most senior travelers do not realize is that seat availability on most flights changes significantly in the final 30 minutes before boarding. No-shows, operational seat holds being released, and last-minute status upgrades all create new premium availability inside that window. The passenger who asked nicely 25 minutes earlier and said they would check back is almost always the first beneficiary, because the agent already knows them, already likes them, and already has a reason to call them over. The exact follow-up phrase, "Of course, I understand completely. Would it be all right to check back in about 20 minutes just in case?" Nothing more. If the agent says no to the follow-up as well, accept it with a genuine smile and do not return again. 1 follow-up is an asset. 2 is pressure. The line between them is everything. Secret number 5. The one thing you should never say if you want an upgrade. This final secret surprises most senior travelers because it is not about what to say. It is about what to never say. A phrase so commonly used that most passengers believe it helps their case, when in reality, it ends the conversation immediately inside every airline professional's mind. The phrase is, "I fly with you all the time." A 70-year-old passenger named Helen, a retired accountant from Boston, led with this phrase at a gate counter in Miami when requesting a seat change. The gate agent smiled, checked the system, and told her nothing was available. What Helen did not know was that there were 4 open seats in premium economy on that aircraft at that exact moment. The agent had seen them on her screen seconds before Helen spoke. Here is what happened inside that interaction. The phrase, "I fly with you all the time," signals entitlement to airline staff, even when the passenger means it sincerely as context. It translates, in the professional culture of airline operations, as, "I deserve this because of my history with your company." And entitlement-based requests trigger a specific, trained response in gate agents and flight attendants. Polite refusal with zero guilt. Airlines spend considerable resources training frontline staff to de-escalate and deprioritize status signaling requests that are not backed by formal loyalty credentials in the system. If your miles and status do not show up automatically on the agent's screen, mentioning your loyalty verbally almost never helps. What works instead is need, not history. Comfort, not tenure. Gratitude, not entitlement. The senior traveler who says, I've flown you for 20 years, will almost always lose to the senior traveler who says, I'd be so grateful. I have some trouble with my back on longer flights. Helen flew that same route again 3 months later. She said nothing about her loyalty history. She arrived early, greeted the gate agent warmly, and quietly mentioned her back. She was in the third row of first class before the boarding door opened. The same airline, the same route. A completely different result because the words had changed. Across all 5 of these secrets, the pattern is the same. Flight attendants and gate agents are human beings doing a demanding job inside a system designed to move hundreds of people efficiently and extract maximum revenue in the process. Within that system, they have real discretion over seats, over comfort, over who gets treated like a valued guest instead of a ticketed unit. And that discretion flows toward the passengers who treat them with warmth, patience, and genuine respect. You do not need miles. You do not need status. You do not need to spend a single extra dollar. You need the right words at the right moment, delivered with the right energy. That is a learnable skill. If you found this helpful, share it with someone you know who has a flight coming up this year. And if you have ever received a free upgrade, or come heartbreakingly close to one without understanding why, tell me your story in the comments below. Your experience helps protect and inspire every senior traveler in this community. Safe travels.